in this past biennial budget, we've had two reductions, in essence, to our funding. The first is a 5.8% or $5.8 million cut to our appropriation. On top of that, we have been asked to take an $11.8 million lapse by the end of the biennium. So basically save $11.8 million of our appropriations to return to the state at the end of the biennium.
The cut is to the county coffers, and then they have to decide how they're going to meet their obligations. And so it could be direct cuts to court services, so fewer court commissioners, for example, or fewer people working in the courts to process the cases. So that means that people would have to wait longer for things like temporary restraining orders or divorces or small claims actions.
Counties are responsible by statute for administering the state court system. We serve as the administrative arm for a number of state functions, and the court system is one of the largest programs that we administer on behalf of the state. The state statutes are also pretty clear that counties are responsible for funding all the operations of the state court system, with the exception of certain court personnel, such as judges and court reporters. So there is a very significant fiscal burden placed on counties for funding the operations of the court system.
Well, the biggest concern here obviously is access to justice, because we're talking about a direct impact on our citizens, which would include businesses, many of whom are small businesses, and the question of whether or not you can get into court, how long it's going to take, etc. Everybody automatically thinks about a concern related to delay in criminal cases, which is a real concern, but what about civil cases? Juvenile cases, probate matters, divorce cases. These cases will then potentially have a tendency to languish, and people, I think, get frustrated with the system if it's not deemed by them to be accessible and something that is making a decision in a timely manner.
What I'm most afraid of in a lot of these situations is our system is kind of on this verge of some great things in criminal justice, either evidence-based decision-making or drug courts, these things that are showing a difference in public safety and getting people back into the community in a safer way. And those are discretionary expenses to a lot of degree. So if we start pressuring these, the ability to innovate, to move forward, to have a system that we want is going to be restricted. So yeah, we could see some, I think, pockets of places where counties just don't have any other options because of the decrease in funding to them, that they make hard decisions and reduce what type of revenue they're providing to the court system to operate.
One of the biggest drops we've had in the last year was a reduction in the number of cases brought in by the Sheriff's Department for tickets. Now, that's a two-edged sword. One, they're not bringing in more money because we're not collecting on those tickets. It also means it's because there aren't as many sheriff's deputies on the freeway patrolling. So that goes to public safety. And why is that? Because the county, in an effort to meet their responsibilities, has had to make cuts. So they pay for the courts, and how do they do that? They take money from other parts of the county government, like the Sheriff's Department. That means the sheriff has fewer resources to spend on deputy sheriffs to put on the freeway. So it has that kind of ripple effect that I'm talking about. And it's not just the courts that are suffering, it's public safety.
We are statutorily obligated to provide a number of services on behalf of the state, and there are many services, such as child abuse and neglect investigations. They come in, we can't say, sorry, we're out of money, come see us next budget.
We had $1 billion surplus. I didn't see anybody saying, other than the courts asking for it, saying, hey, why don't we do something with this lapse? You wouldn't do this to the average person on the street and say, look, we know you have a mortgage and we know you have utility bills, and we're going to tell you to pay your mortgage company 10% less or pay the utility companies 10% less, and expect the bank to roll over and say, okay, we'll take 10% less. But that's in effect what we're doing to the courts.
And when I think of a community I want to live in, a community that the courts help provide the fabric to, three things that happen when you underfund the justice system: adverse effect to public safety, adverse effect to the economy, and adverse effect to the people in the community that need protection.